Hello, so this is group 6 case discussion. So today I'm just going to start off by giving a little bit of background about our article. So our article is called Why Employee-Owned New Belgium Brewing Gives Workers Bikes, Travel Vouchers, and Paid Sabbaticals on Their Work Anniversaries by Tanza Lodenbach. And this was a case we picked for Conscious Leadership because New Belgium is a large craft brewery that really focuses a lot of their efforts on their employee engagement. So it is a 100% employee-owned company utilizing employee stock ownership plans, and this gives the employees the incentive of getting extra profit by working hard. And in regard to conscious leadership, we thought that this kind of dives deeper than surface level leadership, really engaging the employees and demonstrating some sort of community. So just wanted to give a little bit of background about the company, and then we'll just kind of dive into our discussion with that. So just open it up. What are some of the key discovery events or evidence that occurred in this article that you guys pointed out?
So similar to what you were saying, I think New Belgium is one of the few companies that actually offers an employee stock ownership plan, which is a unique feature. I think something else that they do that's really unique is that they offer so many work perks. And I feel like this is a really good strategy to increase employee engagement and help foster like the culture of innovation, but also just like a work-life balance kind of duo. So some other things that they offer are a fat tire cruiser bike at work anniversary year 1. They also offer a 1-week trip to Belgium at year 5, and then a $1,000 travel voucher year 15. And a 4-week paid sabbatical at years 10, 20, and 30. So I feel like they really do have some type of like longitudinal incentive and celebration essentially for all the years that you've been at the company for. And I think it shows because they have about like a 93% employee retention rate, which is really high compared to industry standards. I think usually it's much lower. I'd want to say like around maybe 50% or less, maybe 30%. And I think the main driving force behind this is the CEO's decision that she wanted to transition to the company into more of like a employee, like boots on the ground employees, like stirred company. So I feel like the CEO made a really good decision in having this more as like a cooperative, collaborative kind of company.
So let's talk about the decision. So if you're the CEO of this company and you're giving up 59% of the company back to employees and essentially giving up your control of the company, so you no longer are the biggest stakeholder, so you can't make the decisions. Now your employees are getting buy-in and making decisions for you. They could actually vote you out of the company.
So that's just a lot of trust.
Yeah,
a lot of trust. And I think that's extremely dangerous if she's not following the model that this is all based on. So in 1995, what she did was she read a concept called open book management. And this open book management from a guy named Jack Stack, which she furthered in the year 2000, was this idea of giving the employees these different perks and these different benefits to make them feel like they were a part of the company. Because as you own the company, you have certain ownership. You make better decisions about the company. But holistically, this concept also is about informing the employees about how the business works, how it matches what they do, those intricacies and not just the perks. So giving up 59% of your stake and allowing those employees to have that say without truly educating them on how the business runs and how it works, that could be detrimental in the long run because, she could be voted out or any type of thing like that.
Yeah, that's a hard decision to make. As an employee, would you guys feel like you'd be more invested in the well-being of the company? And do you think you'd act differently as far as going to work every day and kind of giving it your all? And how do you think that would play out for you?
Yeah, I think when you invest in your employees and when you give them a stake in the company, you have more skin in the game. So I think she did have a lot of trust in giving up like more than half of her company, but I think I'm sure the employees, if I was an employee there, I would feel like she actually cares about the employees and wants us to have the same decision making, how the company is to progress.
So something I'll piggyback on that. I'm trying to play devil's advocate, but certain employees aren't in management positions, which means that their minds aren't wired to be overview focused. They're very specific. To give them that level of responsibility, to give them that ownership, in the short term, they may really piggyback and say, yes, like this is part of my company, this is my company also, I want to make the best change. But because they weren't ever management focused, it was given to them, not earned, would that die off? Would they lose sight of working as a collective and having that eye on the prize and being more lax because they weren't management to begin with, you know? So in the long run, does it really benefit the employee? Or do they really take it with them down the road?
Yeah, so I think the 59% give out is way too much. So I think there's some better way to do that is to distribute her stake and keep her share never below 50%. So that will still maintain her control of the companies, or she can just give the majority percentage of the stake to some person that has a significant role in the company, so make decisions more correctly. Yes, rather than everybody can vote, right?
It's very risky for sure. Trying to do that.
So what about profit? So now it might not be the most profitable decision for the company. Do you think that in the long run they'll thrive better or worse with this new type of management style and different people buying in? Maybe people who weren't typical investors or don't have stocks are not going to not business minded, like you were saying. Do you think it was a good decision to kind of give up that control as far as profits are concerned?
I mean, looking at their profit, they're actually one of the largest craft breweries in the United States, and they generated, back in 2016, $225 million of annual revenue, and their revenue actually increased once she gave up her share of the company back in, 2013 or something. So that the profit increased a lot once it was 100% employee owned. And I don't know if it's because they felt more motivated because it's their company now. Right. And plus the employee retention being so high, you're having the same people showing like they are dedicated to this. So. And
these are all great facts, but they are recent facts. There's no historical data to back up that this is sustainable. We chose this topic because it was very interesting that they did this and we jumped on board. But from a profit standpoint, when they are competing against a Dogfish Head, is in the short term, what I'm saying is we may pick up New Belgium now because we say, oh, we like what they did. They have a decent, good product. We want to use the product and have the product. But what happens if Dogfish Head comes with better pricing, better flavors, different things like that, years down the line? Does this matter at that point for us to not choose Dogfish Head because they didn't hop on this new age concept of open book management? And at that time, the damage is already done. The 59% of the shares is already out, so you can't redo it. You know, what if Dogfish Head or these competitors do philanthropic efforts? You know, and we say, oh, we value that effort as much as we value Kim Jordan's effort with New Belgium. So, but she's lost her shares when they have operated as business as usual.
Do you think people that work there will become brand ambassadors, and that is more powerful than maybe some of the control as far as like brand loyalty goes to not just them, but also their family and friends and the reputation of the company? Do you think maybe some of those things could outweigh what you're talking about, or do you guys think that even with that, like it could be very risky?
I just want to say, I think when we think about consumer products like this, especially like food and beverages and clothing, for example, there's always like a really high brand loyalty. So I think because New Belgium is already doing so well, they already have that strong like fan base essentially. So I don't really see them hopping over to Dogfish Head just because the prices are lower. I think it's more of like the quality or the taste or just that history or maybe that nostalgia associated with the product. But I think going back to your point too, like I said, the ESOP program isn't distinct to New Belgium. There's other companies like Chobani, which is like an enormous yogurt company. I think they make over $1 billion a year just selling yogurt. And they did the same exact thing at their company, but I think we can see like in the market, they dominate. So I don't think the ESOP, because the CEO gave up 59%, is any like detriment or it doesn't hinder, or I don't think it'll hinder profitability.
And like Ashley said, are we saying that that brand loyalty is because of that strategy? Or was that brand loyalty there in the first place? And was it necessary to really do?
Yeah, so I think even before, for example, Chobani gave away like a huge stake in its company, they were already a really big name in the yogurt business. I think one of the articles I read quoted that because it turned into an ESOP model, some of its oldest employees were actually now millionaires. So I think it just goes to show like how drastically the company has done and how well they were doing in the past.
Yeah, I will say that does sound like a great thing, because even though I'm playing devil's advocate, if the business was already running profitably and you implement this new strategy and it runs relatively the same, maybe a slightly bit better, but the employees are now millionaires, that difference is worth implementing the strategy.
So I have one last question for you guys. So if you were a CEO of a company and you're starting a company, would you follow this model, or would you wait to see how this played out in the long run?
I think for me, as thinking about leadership, you have to build your workplace dynamics first and build, I don't know, in order to make that big of a jump, you have to be confident that the engagement you have with your employees is a trusting, good relationship. Because if you jump into something like this and you don't feel like you engage your employees the right way, it could backfire in other ways.
And now that you say that, does that mean it has to be a small company in order for this to work, or a very
Chobani
targeted?
is huge.
But it's a huge targeted company, right? It's not like a GM, or are they the size of a GM or?
Well, I don't know. So actually, I was telling somebody earlier that Walgreens does this with their employees as well.
Yeah,
So
okay.
yeah,
So
and that's a huge company. When I started as an intern there, I got shareholders, but I had to work for a certain number of years to retain those. So I think more companies are going into it because they think it builds employees, but I think just doing that isn't what's effective. I think it's a lot of the other things they're putting into it besides just giving people shares.
Right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.